Hi, welcome to Everyday NLP Bites, Season 3. My name is Florence Madden. I'm an NLP trainer and coach based in Cumbria in the north of England. I'm also the author of The Intention Impact Conundrum and the co-author of Everyday NLP. In this season of podcasts, I've entitled it In Conversation With. And I'm talking to people who've undertaken NLP training for their own purposes, for work purposes, and also people who are NLP trainers and coaches. And I've been asking them all the same question, which is, what concept within NLP has been most important to them? And perhaps more crucially still, what has made a real impact in their life and work? In this episode, I'm delighted to be joined by Jim Maguire. Jim is a leadership coach and what I've now christened a solutioneer for businesses that are, or organizations for that matter, that are experiencing difficulties. So Jim, questions to you. What is it within NLP that has been significant to you and what impact has that made in your life and work? Over to you, Jim.
Thank you. Thank you for asking me. My NLP journey started in 2011 when I was first introduced to it, and through you, Florence, actually, on a course. And I know that through part of those course notes at the time, there are lots of things in those early parts of courses which are given to the candidates as concepts and theories and so on as you move along. And there was one of those concepts and theories that I really struggled to make it stick in my head, around Metamodel. And I can remember very clearly after the course had finished for the day, going out to my car and coming back in and saying, I just don't get this. I just don't get it. And you talked to me and you went away, and the following day you came back with a way for me and potentially others to be able to remember this. Referring to a yellow brick road and Metamodel, and it is in the book Everyday NLP. And whilst that was important to me, what it did teach me was a really strong lesson around the pillars of success for NLP. Because again, earlier on in that course, right at an early stage, the course participants on all courses, they're introduced to pillars, and I'm sure that other trainers will refer to them in different ways. You refer to them as outcome thinking, where there's an understanding the difference between cause and effect, and putting yourself at cause and therefore in control. And the other pillar is take action, so 100% accountability, 100% responsibility. And behavioral flexibility is the third, around results versus excuses and so on. The sensory acuity that is there within your 5 pillars, noticing the impacts on yourself and your impacts on others, and how you can up your game to be good or better, so that you can go from I did it to from I can't do it. And then the final one is the psychology and physiology of excellence. And I think that the more I've understood about NLP and the more I think back to those early days of the meta model for me, and the way that you went away and you used those 5 pillars to be able to come up with a concept that worked for me, to be able to understand and take those on board. I've then used those 5 pillars myself. I refer to them as B spot. It's a way that I can remember them. I know that in later publications, I'm sure you refer to them as B sport, or would refer to them as B sport now, because rapport has been included. But the behavioral flexibility for the B, the sensory acuity for the S, psychology, physiology of excellence for the P, and the outcome thinking for the O, and the take action 100% of the time for the T. They're all things that I have really remembered I think that the inclusion now of rapport is excellent. And rapport, if you like, if we refer to this as a bit of a bubble, the rapport is right around that bubble. It's almost giving the whole thing a hug.
Yeah.
To bring all those things together.
Yeah. Well, of course, we say in NLP, without rapport, you can't achieve anything. And you're referring to the time when I was training in Metamodel. I remember it very, very well, Jim, because you were almost on the point of giving up. And I thought, how else can I explain this? So your willingness to push to understand it gave me a push. And I thought, well, what are these Metamodels statements? And some people watching or listening to this might be thinking, what the hell are they talking about? They're basically phrases that we use that in some way can give an evidence of the barriers that are getting in our way. And that's where the yellow brick road came from. They are barriers on our road to success and happiness, whatever that is. And if anybody's read the book, they'll know what happened next, which is your slightly ungrateful statement the next day, which is, well, why didn't you say that yesterday? The answer to that, of course, was that I hadn't thought about it yesterday, but you pushed me into it.
Well, I think, and really for me, that is just, again, that encompasses those 5 pillars. You know, you took away a concept that you were very comfortable with and you completely understood. You provided some flexibility into the way that you described it. You clearly used your sensory acuity to work out that I really was on the verge of just saying, actually, you know what, this is in the too hard to do pile. And really, the way that you then took that away and explained it, how excellent it was. Clearly, the outcome was to get me to be able to understand it, and you took action to do it. Now, I think the other thing is that clearly we had built up enough of a rapport, even in a short space of time, for me to be able to come to you and say, I really don't get this. And for you to understand by then what I want me to be able to understand it. And I've taken those 5 at the time lessons, and I really have used those as I've gone forward into my working life and now into my my own business career.
Yeah, and I suppose that's kind of the point about NLP. It's not about a series of concepts. It's about practical ways of doing the best that you can in whatever you're doing. And I would have to say that I'm forever grateful that you were quite persistent, because another one of the presuppositions of NLP relates into that, and that the person with the most flexibility has the greatest influence. And, you know, it's so often, and you said this before, it's very easy for us as trainers or coaches, there's something, or anybody for that matter, to hold something in our heads and think, well, it's obvious.
Yeah.
Well, it's not necessarily obvious to other people, but it's our job, mine then, both of our jobs now, given what you're doing, to find a way to help people to understand things. And it does appear in the book, not just as an anecdote, but it is now, thanks to you, Jim, how I train in Metamodel, and people get it. So in a way that they didn't before, and that's important. And I think that says something else. This is not just about this thing that happens in the moment, is that when we apply this way of thinking, there's benefits going both ways.
Absolutely.
So, Jim, thank you. And yeah, I know that your business is now Jim Maguire Associates. People watching this might be curious to know more about you and what you do. So can you give us your website?
Yep. So my website is www.jim-maguire, it's spelt with a G, .co.uk. You can also find me on LinkedIn if you just search Jim Maguire, and also through my Facebook page. And hopefully, Florence, at the end of this, you'll put a nice little link to take you to the site as well.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be included in the sort of the blurb that goes with this. So I suppose given all that, people can expect flexibility from you and meeting their requirements as well.
Hopefully.
So thank you, Jim, and thank you for those of you that have been watching or listening, however you're consuming this podcast. The next podcast will feature Claire Bradshaw, and she'll be talking about something called somatic learning and outdoor coaching. So thank you for joining me and Jim for this podcast, and please join Claire and I for the next. Bye for now.
Bye.